Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, when this kind of updates come from the Ukrainians, that means it's not good for them. Why? They would not promote or they would not cover information coming from the Americans stating that the Russians are somehow winning. This information comes from the Institute of Study of War, which is an institute led by a person who is the sister-in-law of Victoria Nuland. So that's all you need to know. So this person, go and check, you can find the Institute of Study of War. The director, she is the wife of someone whose brother is married, I think, is married to Victoria Nuland's husband. So you can tell how much truth these guys can provide you. Nevertheless, I'm not here to poop on Institute of Study of War, with which I stopped collaborating. That is, not looking into their articles or studies. Why? Because I figured they are skewed and they have a big agenda, and the agenda is not truth. I figured that out when last year, I think it was in June, I think, when that missile hit that location, Avdiivka, or Olenivka, I think it was Olenivka, something like that, where the prisoners from Mariupol were housed, were kept by the Russians, and a missile hit that. And the way they reported that incident was not a study, it was an opinion, but they used it as a study. So nevertheless, I'm going to use it here because I'm a weasel, and weasels are weasels. So this works, I think, as information, and not necessarily on the information the Institute of Study of War gives us, but the fact that the Ukrainians are promoting in their media this kind of information. It's like you don't tell everybody how many troops were killed during this war, but you tell them that the Russians are winning. You wouldn't say that. So I think it was a little switch turned on in Ukraine. I think is a covered civil war between the military and the, I don't want to say political establishment, supported by the Western free countries. So let's get into this little article, as I said, coming from the Ukrainians, Ukrainska Pravda, from Tuesday, the 14th of November 2023. Russian troops have confirmed successes near Avdiivka, Institute of Study of War. So why would a Ukrainian media outlet promote such information now? Well, there's an infighting over there. Russian troops continued over there, meaning the Ukrainian leadership, the guys who are in charge of Ukraine. Russian troops continued their offensive near Avdiivka, I will show you a map, on November 13th and confirmed their successes. Geolocation footage released on November 10 also shows that Russian troops have advanced to the eastern outskirts of Stepove, 3 kilometers north of Avdiivka. I said Avdiivka is already done. It's done deal over there. These guys should just regroup behind, go westward and regroup. So let's see where this location is in Stepove, 3 kilometers north of Avdiivka. So here is the map. Avdiivka is right here, and is the one that I'm going to show you in bad shape right here. One is almost surrounded. So they're talking about north of Avdiivka, so the Russians advanced. This is where they advanced. This is the area they're talking about. Right here, geolocation released, eastern outskirts of Stepove, 3 kilometers north of Avdiivka. So Avdiivka is this north, this area. So they advance here. They're going to cut them off in this last road that still supplies, but it's under supplies Avdiivka, that it's under Russian constant shelling, and I think they get like 3 or 4 people a night if they want to retreat. So these guys are basically encircled. So Institute of Study of War. Details. The General Staff of Ukraine reported that Russian troops launched unsuccessful attacks southeast and south of Novokalinove, 11 kilometers northeast of Avdiivka, east of Pervomaiske, 11 kilometers southwest of Avdiivka, so northwest and southwest. So they're trying to, not south, they are going to encircle this town, that's for sure. They broke through here and then they will be done. I said this about 2 weeks ago, and I still maintain that Avdiivka is done. And here you can see the first the first video I made. Let's say here in November 8th, I said Avdiivka surrounded on 3 sides. Last 17 civilians refused to leave. Again, Russian radius 40,000 troops for final assault on encircled, quote unquote, because it was not completely encircled, Avdiivka. So this is on November 9th. Now we are on the 14th, and these guys are coming and telling us this piece of information now. So all these things are around, as well as near Avdiivka, west. So they're continuing there right here. All this, it seems like the Russians are capable of advancing. So it's done there. And let's see what else these guys have to say. They also show us a map. But they show Marinka here, but this is Avdiivka. Here is the situation. So they're moving in, and here towards the Stepove is right here. So they are going to cut off the exit routes. So Stepove is here, and they go up and down here. That's a beautiful map here. Remember, this is one, and then if you go to Marinka, even in Marinka, they advance according to the Russians. Now, Marinka is obviously south of Avdiivka. Let's see what this map shows us. It's right here. So, Avdiivka and Marinka, right here. Let's see what else. Several Russian military bloggers claimed that fighting was ongoing near the Avdiivka coke plant and north of Avdiivka. Another Russian military blogger claims that Ukrainian forces control at least half of the Avdiivka coke plant, and that reports of the plant being seized by Russian forces are false. Institute of Study of War, however, has not seen any claims by Russia that Russian forces have seized the Avdiivka coke plant. Again, these guys rely on Russian military bloggers who claim that Ukrainian forces had successfully counterattacked and advanced near Avdiivka on November 13th. They reported that Ukrainian forces advanced to the railway station near Stepove and near the Tsarskaya Okota restaurant south of Avdiivka, like we know the restaurant. Okay, they fight for a restaurant. Another Russian military blogger claims that Ukrainian forces unsuccessfully attacked near Krasnohorivka, 5 kilometers north of Avdiivka. Russian sources claim that Ukrainian forces had continued ground operation on the eastern left bank of the Kherson Oblast and advanced on 13 November. Russian sources claim that Ukrainian forces had continued ground operation on the eastern, in the Kherson. I will show you that. Russian military bloggers claim on 12 and 13 November that Ukrainian troops are holding positions near Krinky, 30 kilometers northeast of Kherson Oblast and 2 kilometers from the Dnieper River, and have slightly expanded their control zone to the south of the settlement. So they say here, this is an article that supposedly the Russians cleared. Russian state media released and later retracted reports that the regrouping of Russian forces on the left bank of Kherson Oblast to position further east of the Dnieper River, suggesting that the Russian command or Russian media states apparatus has failed to establish a coordinated information line, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's see where that is. Kherson. Kherson is right here. So in the big scheme of things is north of Crimean Peninsula. This is Kherson. So this is the Dnieper River. So they claim that the Ukrainians crossed the river and now they're located here somewhere along this line. And we'll find out. My point here is why would you promote this by the Institute of Study of War and even worse by Ukrainska Pravda? Remember, these guys did not release any figure of their military losses. The Ukrainians, I'm talking, and the media was zipped, fell in line, and they tell us now that Avdiivka is done. And one more point. My observation of how these guys rolled is that they have about a week to 2 weeks delay. So if something big happened here now, the mass media will keep their mouths shut for about a week to a week and a half, sometimes 2 weeks, but not a week, or usually a week, within a week and 10 days would be safe to say, up to 10 days. And then after 10 days, they start telling you about what happened there. Now it depends what kind of a situation was 10 days ago. It could be a month, but usually it's about 10 days. So when I see or I smell the situation and I'm saying, okay, I think this is what's going on, they will release that information about a week from there and then gonna say, yeah, by the way, we are just gonna retreat now. You made a decision a week ago and you'll tell us now that you made a decision. It happened before. So same here, when they tell us that Russian troops have confirmed successes near Avdiivka, they don't tell us, obviously, a lot of other things. Probably the Ukrainians are already out of the town or in the process of retreating. But we're going to find out in a week or so. All right, my friends, here it is with Avdiivka. That's one of them. Kupiansk is another one where the Russians will break the front. They are advancing over there nevertheless. The main points, I think, the fronts, Avdiivka, Marinka, Liman, whatever that was. I always forget that. I just mentioned it. Kupiansk, which is in Kharkiv Oblast. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.